Guys, first of all, today's Emancipation Day in my country. Pray that you guys can be truly free and emancipate yourselves from mental slavery, as Bob Marley said. I'm going to address Syndicate Video Media. Syndicate Video Media believes that adjusting for inflation is a cop-out. It's unnecessary. But he does not understand what that's about. So we're going to help him understand what it's about today. This stream was brought to you by L.I.V.E products. L.I.V.E, Live Now, We're Live Now in the Trinidad and Tobago area. You can get drinks. You can get punches. You can get cleaning products, as well as you can get nuts and granola products, all from the L.I.V.E brand. So if you live in Trinidad and Tobago and you want to place your order, you can contact me on WhatsApp or by phone. The number is 319-4788. It's 319-4788. So C's the director, which is a guy on YouTube. This is a YouTube post here. He said that he quotes this Cosmic Book News, which says, Comic-Con exclusive, DC versus Marvel movie is in talks. The Insider says Gunn and the Russos are involved. So they're trying to do a crossover between DC and Marvel. And this has been on the books for a long time. Jeff Johns wanted to do this a long time. The executives wanted to do this a long time. But really and truly, James Gunn, by creating this particular style, if it holds up, if it can get past a certain point, they're going to try and sell over the DC brand to Disney, and then they're going to try and do that crossover movie and have DC and Marvel characters coexist. Now, I told you guys that they didn't need to go that route. They could have stayed with Zack Snyder and his Snyderverse, because the one thing that Marvel has, or the MCU has right now, is Ryan Reynolds' Deadpool. And one thing we've seen with Deadpool is able to cross over with almost anyone. And I'm just going to show you something here. Deadpool crossed over with Wonder Woman in Linda Carter in the ad, the Christmas ad to help children. He crossed over with Wonder Woman there. Did a great job. Wonder Woman's a DC character. Yes, Linda Carter showed up. And there's a spoof on how she turned. And the other thing that Ryan Reynolds was able to do was he was able to hire Henry Cavill, who was not as Superman, but he was able to comment on the fact that Henry Cavill was Superman, how Warner Brothers fired him. He kind of referenced to that by calling them shit fucks down the street. We'll treat you better than them. So Ryan Reynolds, who was in DC, he was a green. He was involved in the Green Lantern movie in DC. Is a DC fan, and he has worked alongside Gal Gadot as well as The Rock, who was Black Adam, and Gal Gadot was Wonder Woman in the DC EU. So he's actually interfaced with all these characters, and what a lot of people do not understand is the Snyderverse crossing over with the MCU through Deadpool. That would be a massive success. We've seen Deadpool crossover with the Wolverine. Fans always wanted to see that. Again, the fans. I'm hearing people say that DC fans, they're a small minority. There's not a lot of DC fans out there. That's bullshit. All of this stuff is bullshit, right? There's a lot of DC fans. I'm a DC fan. I grew up on DC. I didn't grow up on Marvel. I knew about Thor. I knew about the Hulk, right? Captain America, did not know anything about Iron Man, right? So I think that Warner Brothers doesn't know what they're doing. They're trying to cram in a Marvel style, taking a Marvel director, and that's why they say they're going the Marvel route. And what they're trying to do with this director is they're trying to force a Marvelized DC, which doesn't necessarily have to hold fast to the DC lore or anything like that. And as a result of that, what we are getting in the cinemas right now is a flop. Again, they're going to try and twist this and say, "Oh, Superman's going to make $700 million." That's bullshit. Superman is slowing down. Superman is slowing down. People are saying Fantastic Four, it looks like it might flop in the cinemas, or it's not going to do as well as Superman. Well, it's not supposed to do as well as Superman, first of all. Right? Superman's supposed to be a major DC character. But the fact that they're even doing on par with Superman is not good. Right? But I think that this box office weekend, with the other stuff coming into the box office, Superman will continue to drop. They're saying that they predict that Superman will make 550 coming out of the box office weekend this weekend here, because I think it's somewhere around 527 million right now. Listen, that means for 2 weekends in a row, it will be in the $500 million place. People are saying it'll make 600 million. I don't know about all of that. Okay, we're gonna have to see what this box office weekend is, but I don't even care about that. My point is this: the approach that they're using right now is alienating, and that's why the international box office is the way it is. It's alienating all the Superman fans, particularly abroad, even locally too. And another thing that people are forgetting is, I'm telling you, Warner Brothers is padding some of these numbers, right? People are making it out like, oh, the people in the United States are really, truly... No, Warner Brothers has put a lot of money into this movie. They're losing a lot of money on this movie. But anyway, this is where they want to go, okay? They've wanted to go this way since Man of Steel, which is why Jeff Johns was so upset that he wasn't involved, because Jeff Johns is very tight with Kevin Feige. But they've never been able to pull it off. They couldn't do it with Superman Returns in 2006. They couldn't do it with the Green Lantern movie in 2011. They couldn't do it with Batman and Robin. Of course, 2006 there was no Marvel Universe, right? But in 2011, the Green Lantern was supposed to again spark off the DC Universe so that they could kind of merge with Marvel. This is the whole idea. This is why they try to cram down your throats that a comic book movie needs to be this way or that way or the other way, right? So the studio has always wanted to go the Marvel route. What they don't understand, and I think these studios don't understand, they feel everything has to be engineered and manufactured. And when you try to go that route with human beings, they're going to reject the stuff that you do that's artificially created. They artificially created this hype for Superman. They artificially created this, using a lot of ads and beating people over the face, that this Superman is achieving something. It's basically mind games. They're doing a psyop on people. And they're hoping that this will work. And it's not working internationally at all. The international audience is not buying this at all. But then the domestic audience, they're padding up. They're having people go and watch this movie, and then they're also paying people to go watch this movie. They're also, as you can see, with the content creators, but they're also padding up. They're buying out seats. They're doing the same thing that they did for Captain Marvel movie. This is the same thing they're doing. So they're putting out real money. So when I tell you advertising, the advertising that they're doing right now, and promotion that they're doing for this movie, they're spending real money on this movie. This movie, they're putting out like more than $200 million has gone into this movie, because they have to pay people on social media, the influencers. They had to pay, people to shill for the company on social media as well, like on TikTok or Twitter or wherever. All these aggressive people coming and trying to attack my comments or whoever on there. They're doing that. They're paying. Not only are they using a combination of people, they're using a combination of bots as well. That's why some of these accounts they're opening, you see the very recent account, like a day old or a month old or whatever. It's because they're paying programmers and other people to do these things. Casey Bloys is behind this. All right. So it will appear that this movie is successful, but it's not successful. And it has a long ways to go to get to $700 million. Right. And let me explain why inflation is so important to this guy, Syndicate Video Media, because he doesn't understand. What inflation does is it balances out the amount of sales, ticket sales that you've had. For example, in Man of Steel back in 2013, ticket prices were about $8.13. Today, ticket prices are the lower end of the spectrum. On average, $11.31. So how we cater for inflation is we say, okay, if the ticket prices back then was $8.13 and the ticket prices today is $11.31, and I'm being very conservative. Tickets cost way more than that now. But let's just go conservative. There's a plain movie, right? 1131, 813. You divide that and you will get your inflation factor. Why is that important? That inflation factor, if I take that and I divide that inflation factor by the amount of money, for instance, that Superman has gained today. Well, not Superman. Superman, the ticket price, all I have to do with Superman there is divide by $11.31, and I'll find out how many tickets on average, right? Now, if we're looking at Superman back in the day, I have to take that factor, the amount of money that was made in Man of Steel, I have to take that factor and I have to divide Man of Steel's gross income by that factor, and that's how many tickets were sold. And as far as we know right now, as it stands, Man of Steel has way outsold Superman in ticket sales, given this particular period of time that we're talking about right now. Okay, it also, without inflation, outgrossed worldwide, that is, Superman at the given point in time we are right now. Okay, so not only has it, if you cater for inflation, you can find out how many tickets were sold for Man of Steel, and you see that it sold more tickets than Superman. And why that's important? Well, if Man of Steel sold more tickets back then and ended up with $670 million after selling those tickets, then comparatively, when we scroll forward to today, if you want to do better than Man of Steel in terms of selling tickets, you got to make the same amount of tickets or more to say you're on par or not. And what we found out is that Superman at present has sold a little bit more than half the amount of tickets that Man of Steel sold. So this is why inflation is important. So when we do Man of Steel numbers, for example, when this movie stands at about 520 something million, right? At present, 527 or something like that. Well, Man of Steel was at 600. Actually, I have that thing somewhere. I don't know where I have it. Okay. I have it somewhere, but I don't know. It could have been something on, let me see. Don't have it. Okay. So anyway, it's besides the point. Yeah, Man of Steel at that same point in time had 600, I believe, and $32 million. So where a Superman in this third weekend crossed $500 million, and in this fourth weekend be somewhere around $530, $540 million, maybe even $550 million. Because remember, international box office is going to be much less added on than the domestic. So when you add in the domestic weekend here, which if it gets 10 million extra, that's great. And then the international, which is about 10 million again, it will be somewhere around $540 something million. $540 something million to $550 something million. That's where you would be at the end of this fourth weekend. And then the fifth weekend, if they let it slide, which I think they want to let this movie run for about 7 weekends, but at least before they put out the digital. But if you think about it, the next couple of weekends, this thing is going to be under $1 million. It's going to be raking in per day, right? And for the week, it may do 1 or 2 million. So actually, they have, for some reason, Warner Bros. Still has in theaters, and it's not doing anything in theaters right now. What do you call it? The fucking hell. I'm drawing blanks all the time. The Minecraft movie. The Minecraft movie is not making any money in theaters right now. Week after week after week, it's not doing anything. So it stopped at 955 million. It's not going any higher. With respect to this movie, that's going to happen very soon. Jurassic World Rebirth has stopped. It's not making a whole set of money anymore. It's like 700 and something million. Now, people are saying, well, if Fantastic Four is starts to flop or something, this movie, no, because there are other movies going into theater. There's The Naked Gun, and there's other movies coming into the theater that people want to watch and see. So there's distractions now until all the way out of the summer vacation. It's packed. And even so, regardless, the trend that the movie has is it's making less. This is what all movies do. It fizzles out. This movie didn't open big enough, right? And all of the marketing campaign and everything they were trying to do, it didn't open big enough because it's just going to lose and lose and lose and lose more money, right? It's what it is. Now, all of these movies are going to underperform this summer. Like I said, I didn't really care about Fantastic Four, nor this movie, nor Jurassic World. Avatar is the movie that I was looking to be interested in. I don't even know if I'm interested in that movie anymore. When I watched Smurfs, it was not that good. So ultimately, in the end, my brother does not understand that this movie, you to compare it with Man of Steel. If you use inflation, there's no comparison. And that makes sense because Man of Steel sold way more tickets than Superman. So him saying, you shouldn't use inflation. I don't even know the point of inflation. Well, you don't know the point of inflation. That's the problem. So you need to know that. Okay, we already talked about the fact that Warner Brothers has already fired 10% of its staff, particularly in advertising and production, which is the people who did the advertising for Superman. So all of this is showing me something. It's showing me that, hey, this movie ain't doing that great. They now trying to will this movie to $700 million because they know that's the break-even point. So they've changed the narrative, and now they're talking about $700 million. They need to make $700 million because Grace Randolph talked about that, and a lot of people talked about it. But for that to happen, that movie got to make at least $500 million domestically in the box office to get anywhere near that. 700 or something, close to 500 million in the box office. So they got a ways to cut out. Of course, the studio will try and pump money into the movie and just create more loss for themselves just to get the optics going. So that's why I said this movie is a flop, and no matter how hard the studio tries to deny what we're saying, it inevitably is going to. So let me tell you what we need to do. We need to do this. We need to keep on talking about Restore the Snyderverse because the studio don't like us doing that either. And you can see their shields and all the people saying the Snyderverse is dead. Well, no, the Snyderverse ain't dead. That's why we comparing it to Man of Steel. Man of Steel is a Snyderverse movie. It ain't dead. The movies are there. And they performed. The studio decided not to pursue them. But knowing that studio, you put enough pressure on their ass, they are going to buckle and they are going to give in. And so that's why I know we're going to get what we want. Right? And everybody's going to rejoice and everybody's going to be happy about it. Because they cannot deny us what we want. So all those little shills that they be sending to us, and I'm telling you, what's going on here, and it's going to happen in Marvel as well, is we have multi-billion-dollar corporations going up against the people. We got this over and over again in society, and we're seeing it again. These elite people thinking that they got all this power and they're going to do whatever they feel like doing. They're not accountable to the people who are getting them there by giving them money so that they can do these things. They forget that the fans and the audience is where they get their money from, even though they may get from sponsors and other corporations and other businesses. They need ticket sales. They need the movies to succeed. If the movies fail, they can't continue onwards. And so this is why Wallace Close and all these other people are talking. But I don't even care to say that my Wallace Close, because I don't see nothing in that Superman movie that I wanted to see. You know, people talking about if it was a good movie, I wouldn't go see it. I'm like, dude, if it was a good movie, I might have gone and seen it. But one thing I can tell you is, I know it ain't a good movie. You don't have to tell me this. You don't have to tell me this. And this is not me being, wicked. I listen to people say it's a great movie. It's a good movie. It's a good movie in a different kind of way and all this rah, rah, rah. And I'm like, first of all, that's a parody of Superman. That ain't Superman. This movie, Superman needed saving more than he saved. He needed saving more. In fact, in this whole entire movie, not once did Superman handle his stories for himself. Somebody always had to come in and bail him out. Superman ain't super. He's not super. So how can that be a Superman movie? And then people have come to this point and they showed, by definition, a solo film is a film where the major character, we follow along his story and plot line. Superman has too many supporting characters, has too many characters that get more shine than him in the movie, and the movie focuses on them more than they focus on Superman. Superman has to be a byword. This could have been called Justice Gang. That's what this movie should have been called, because they're doing most of the saving that's significant. Well, Superman might save a squirrel. He doing fan service. He says squirrel, a little boy, a woman somewhere. But meanwhile, a whole bunch of people getting injured, a whole bunch of people getting hurt, a whole bunch of people getting damaged, a whole bunch of people dying. But they want you to suspend your reality of that. You're not living in consequence, because this is not a realistic film, and say, no, those people are okay. Superman saved them. This is the level of parody that we're dealing with. Oh, they gave evacuation orders for them to leave the area. So magically speaking, these people just in seconds, they're all organized and they're out of the city in seconds. Meanwhile, a rift was happening, and that rift happens in seconds. See, these are the things that are stupid, right? And as a result of that, I say that's not a Superman movie. They got somebody that kind of looks like Superman, a very poor representation of Superman, but that's where that go. I'm not saying that the actors didn't try their best to milk the thing as best as they could to make it convincing, but that ain't no Superman movie. And anybody who's honest about themselves, that's why when I hear people say, well, I never seen Superman, I went and watched this movie. Well, if you'd never seen Superman, or you never followed Superman, or you didn't care about Superman before, you're not a Superman comic book fan, you don't know anything about Superman. Well, yeah, for you, maybe it's good. But for the people who know what Superman is, what Superman represents, the actual symbol on Clark's chest is no longer the symbol of hope. Because James Gunn just destroyed that by saying his parents told him to go conquer and breed Kryptonian genetics. So there goes that symbol of hope. Maybe that's the symbol of hope for Krypton. To breathe, I mean, it's just so narcissistic. It's almost like Brightburn level disgusting, right? And that all goes to show you that James Gunn doesn't care about DC, and he doesn't care about butchering DC. So this is the other point I'm going to make. Why is it that the United States domestic is doing so good, but internationally is not doing so well? I'm going to tell you why. It's the same reason Zack Snyder's Justice League was doing great all over the world, But domestically on HBO Max, particularly, because that's where they pigeonhole the movie so they can have full control over it. And HBO Max, it wasn't doing that great. At least that's what they said. I'll tell you why. In the US markets, this studio, Warner Brothers, is pumping money into influencing people into saying it's doing great. And they're literally pumping money into cinemas. They're paying cinemas huge amounts of money for ticket sales. The studio itself is doing that. They have control more over the local markets than the foreign markets. And they're artificially boosting these numbers. But they don't have enough money to boost them to the levels that they need to boost them to. And that's why they're pulling it from cinemas 2 weeks from now, because they don't got enough money to push it as far as they could push it. So they're pulling a Captain Marvel on us. They don't care about the fans. They don't care about the audience. And by the way, that movie was made with AI. That Superman movie. A lot of people don't realize a lot of things. So I just wanted to share that with you guys. Now let me share with you guys one more thing. Again, Scott Mans, not a Man of Steel fan, not a Snyder fan. These are not Snyder fans. I want you guys to understand that. Scott Mans did a poll. I know I shared this in the video before. And the winner of the poll, 3,000 plus people, was Man of Steel. It wasn't Superman 2025. It wasn't Superman 2. It wasn't Superman the movie. Is Superman big enough to launch a DC franchise? Superman stands in this picture, as you can see. Superman 2025, 503 million. That was over the last weekend. It's going to make about 550 million. Either way, Man of Steel grossed more. Suicide Squad grossed more. Wonder Woman grossed more. Well, these are the follow-ups of the Snyderverse, right? Batman v Superman grossed more, and Aquaman 1.15 billion benefited. I would not say this was part of the Snyderverse at all. Benefited from the goodwill of Snyder fans in the Snyderverse. Like I said before, Snyder fans bring to the table, whether you like it or not, they bring 500 to 700 million dollars. If Snyder fans were supporting this Superman movie, it'd break $1 billion. Okay? I'm going to show you guys something else. I'm going to go on Twitter for this one. I'm come back to Luis Fernandez blowing smoke up our ass. But before we do that, hold on a second. Let me just get to this. Okay, I thought I had it somewhere. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can find it first. Here we are. Rob Liefeld, who has been with the Snyder Cut movement for a good minute. Okay. Rob Liefeld, he addressed us. I'm trying to find where. Here it is. So Rob Liefeld, who was in the Snyderverse movement and is a good guy, more or less, he says, "Come on, Snyder Bros." He calls us Snyder Bros. That's. I don't know why you doing that to us, Rob. Why are you treating us like that? You not a Snyder Bro? I mean, why you gotta call us Snyder Bros, man? Why be so derogatory? Anyway, he said, "Give Superman a shot while it's still going strong." Superman is my favorite character. That was Rob Liefeld. Why are you begging us, Rob? Why are you begging us to go watch Superman? Because you were part of the Snyder Cut movement? You think that we gonna listen to you, but bro? So I see desperation. Rob Liefeld, I don't know if Gunn reached out to him or whoever, and he's asking us to go because he went and saw the Superman movie. He thinks it's a great movie. He's asking us to go see that movie. And of course, we responded. Harry said, "I don't understand why Snyder fans hate DCU so much. The Snyder Cut exists because most of it is already filmed, a few millions to finish, but the Snyderverse was just an idea. They don't understand how business works." So I answered him, and apparently there were some other people who came after. I said, "Superman 2025 is a flop. You seem to love movies that flop. I have no interest, and I have not seen Birds of Prey, The Suicide Squad, Black Adam, Shazam 2, The Flash, Blue Beetle, Aquaman 2. I watched Wonder Woman 84 and it was trash. I watched Justice League 2017. It was trash. I skipped Aquaman. DC has been putting out trash. I'm not watching it." I didn't know he responded. Brother, at the end of the day, it's just a movie. It's just for entertainment. And I'm just going to respond, a movie that I have no interest in watching. This movie is corporate trash shoved onto the public, underestimating their intelligence, made with AI help. Just letting you know. We stood against this with Whedon's Justice League, and we consistently stand against this with this movie. Just want them to know, okay? I'm not watching slop. Oh, one more thing. In this economy, I don't have the money to throw away on some trash movie. So I said, one more thing. In this economy, I don't have money to throw away on some trash movie. Things are not as easy as back in the day. Life has more important, pressing concerns for my money. You come with a good movie worth my time, I will go see it. Mm-hmm. I have another one here. I said, not my kind of movie, and begging me to go see something I don't like never works. We told WB what we wanted since 2021. They never listened. They can still restore the Snyderverse. They have not replaced what we want with something good. So no, I don't care to see Superman. And David the Batman says, no, I don't want to do that. If Superman is your favorite character, then you can understand why some of us want to see the Snyderverse storyline continue. It's the dark side invasion in the style of Lord of the Rings. That's DC Cinema. Now, we have a silly Superman and the general audiences can't care less. That's true. You see internationally, they're not supporting this movie. When they finish the story, as in restore the Snyderverse and not leave it as a cliffhanger, then I'll give your Superman a shot. Imagine leaving Deadpool on a cliffhanger. Wouldn't you want your story completed as a creative? Respectfully, I just don't connect with the Superman whose big hero moment is saving a rodent while the world burns. There you go. Exactly what I'm saying. Dromel says, not my cup of tea. I'm fine with people enjoying this version as long as it's not only to throw shade at the Snyder's iteration. I'll probably watch it once it hits streaming, although I still haven't watched The Batman because I don't enjoy anything made by those WB execs. After years of insulting and harassment for liking the wrong Superman, I'll pass. I did, just like they give Snyder a chance. And they just continue saying no. No, these are mostly Snyder fans here, though, responding, which is he's calling us Snyder bros. I like you, but I won't. I gave it, and it sucked, Rob. He gave it a chance, and wasn't good. Real life for you. Why would I give a company a chance after they kicked out my one of my favorite directors and favorite Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Cyborg, and Flash? Didn't let them finish the epic story. Spit on his legacy with The Flash and Wonder Woman 84, Birds of Prey, and Aquaman 2. When Gunn quits the bullshit and releases the haircut instead of lying, Aaron, I got you. I saw the movie Superman. Hoped for the best. It turned out to be a dud. Make a good movie. So they went and watched it. They may not have paid to watch it, but they did watch it. I just haven't watched it. I'm probably not going to ever watch it. And there's just certain movies I know. You don't have to tell me. I don't need to see the movie. I know it's not my thing. I know it. I haven't seen the movie. I haven't seen the movie. I'm not going to go see the movie. And I know those of you who, you went and you watched it via bootleg or whatever. I'm not wasting my time to do that. I have better things to do with my time than that. It's just not that good, Rob. Omitting Snyder's movies, we went from Brandon Routh's Superman having a bullet bounce off his eye to David C. Supes getting his ass handed to him 99% of the time. Plus, the obscure characters for non-comic aficionados made it a convoluted mess. Andrew Rolnick says, nah, man, too much disrespect for both the fans and the characters. Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. You hit the nail on the head. Define respect for the character. That movie. No, that is pure bias. Give me a real argument. This is a Snyder fan seeing Reeve and saying his movies are disrespectful for the character. This is a guy from Cleveland, where Superman was created. Again, telling you that Super Mid movie was a complete L for the character. The style is bad. The writing was bad and lazy. The effects were really bad. Maybe bad facial expressions that do not fit the character. He tried to transform the character, and nothing about it is any good. I am a Jew, and I know a lot about the arts and sciences. Everything about the film is a non-starter, non-buy, and you've only proven and solidified my point. I'm just going to go with this argument. This is a guy from Cleveland where Superman was created. Are you a Jew too? I guess since two Jews created the character, every Jew knows more about Superman. Being from Cleveland means absolutely nothing. Again, pure bias. No proper arguments. Have a good day. I am a Jew, and I know a lot about the arts and sciences. Everything about the film is a non-starter, non-buy, and you've only proven and solidified my point. You've only proven silly. Not really, I didn't. You can brag to me about your credentials, but still not a proper argument. As I said, good day. I made many points. You just refuse to acknowledge anyone who disagrees with your take. Must be a Zoomers? I don't know. But that's the kind of attitude that is not going to make much difference. Yeah. So I agree. He disrespected Superman. Supergirl calls him a bitch. He gets his ass kicked from the beginning of the movie to the end. He's the one that needs saving most of the time in this movie, even though he went to save the dog. Superman keeps on saving dogs and squirrels. I think he saved a girl. In the meantime, there's massive destruction all around him, right? Batman sometimes, lol, they'll never do this. Their brand is built on hating everything that isn't Zack Snyder. This is supposedly a guy who, again, is probably a gunt. And it's interesting hearing them say that. Like, they believe, like how they follow James Gunn religiously, that we follow Zack Snyder religiously. The thing about it is, Zack Snyder can recommend that this film be good. It's a good film, go see it. And we won't go see it because we have a certain taste in movies. Obviously, I went and saw Joker. I liked Wonder Woman, the first movie. Joker has nothing to do with Zack Snyder. It had to do with Todd Phillips. I went to see that movie. I was interested. I've gone and seen. I obviously didn't go see the Batman for obvious reasons, right? That's the movie that replaced Ben Affleck's Batman movie. I'm not going to go see that movie. When I did watch pieces of that movie, while it was made with quality, it did nothing for the Batman franchise. It did absolutely nothing. You know. Um, I went also and I saw. I'm a Constantine fan, so I would like to see a Constantine sequel with Keanu Reeves. Um, that has nothing to do with Zack Snyder. Yes, Wonder Woman, Zack Snyder wrote the story for it, the general story framework for it, even though he was going with a different kind of story, the direction he went. Patty Jenkins, though, directed Wonder Woman. I think that's a good movie. I saw it. It's good. It is also part of the Snyderverse. So if you're talking about movies outside of the Snyderverse, you have Joker, you have Constantine, you have The Dark Knight, which is Christopher Nolan's movie. I actually like The Dark Knight. I don't really like the other two Christopher Nolan movies per se. Not great fans of them, but The Dark Knight I do like. Heath Ledger had an excellent performance, and I really liked it. Didn't think that Heath Ledger's Joker was Joker in the classical sense of Joker, but and from the comics, but nonetheless, it worked. And I also liked what other DC movie I liked. What other DC movie? The only other DC movie, there really isn't much DC movies that I liked. Of late. Now, if you're talking about outside of DC, I did like the animated films though. I did like the animated DC films. So the animated DC films that came out, Death of Superman, you know, um, Batman, Arkham Asylum, and Arkham, I forget what the name of it is, Arkham whatever. Um, you know, uh, you know, The Dark Knight Returns, and so on, part ones and two. These were good. I didn't particularly like the Killing Joke. So they compromised that, but The Dark Knight Returns was solid, and several other animated, Justice League Dark and you know Justice League, uh, the New Frontier and all of this stuff. They were all good. Okay, all those movies were good. But to say I like the direction that Warner Brothers went after, in part what they tried to do with Suicide Squad, after BVS, and then after that, after Wonder Woman, what they did with Justice League, and then all the films after Justice League in the DCEU, I did not like what they would do. I just didn't like it. I saw Justice League 2017. I tried to be an apologist for it early on. And I turned around and realized that they were fucking me over when I saw the, the additional clips, and then I realized I was being screwed over, and I turned against the studio. I realized I was defending the wrong thing. I should not have been defending the studio. And every single movie from Dance After didn't really capture my interest, and they just kept flopping left, right, and center. I think it's because, again, the clips that they showed, the trailers, or the teasers that they showed, all of them was just not good. Okay. And the more I looked at this stuff, I was wondering, why are you trying to be like Marvel, like every single time? And they try to crack jokes in it and stuff. Justice League was the deal breaker for me. And from thence on, I have not been watching DC movies, at least the live action DCEU movies. And now the DCU movies, I'm not going to be watching those either, because, again, nothing is there for me. If you're talking about me, there was something in DC, right? There was something. It wasn't just this stupid entertainment that does nothing. You just go in there, you're entertained, you leave. I don't believe in empty entertainment. I don't believe in theme park rides. I just don't. I went to see it. I gave it a chance. This is Punish Brogan. Was not very impressed. Was pretty actually annoyed with the Superman has a harem. Was very distracting and detracted from the overall story. Could easily have been fixed. That's another disrespect to Superman. You take Jor-El and you say, oh, so their world is crumbling, and they sent off their child to dominate a new world, kill off everybody who resists him, and breed women. That is a disrespect to Superman. And James Gunn doesn't care. And not only that, that portion of the movie was never resolved. Never. They never went back to address this. They left it out. It was always something else. It was a reason. They never addressed this. Superman never addressed this. Dustin Straight, again, this guy probably went and saw the movie. I just couldn't like it. Hated what they did to Kent's. Hate how they had Lex cry when he got caught. Brent Douglas McDowell. Not sure what Ryan's obsession is with second-rate Robs, but it should be studied. They're being misguided. I went to see it twice with family, and I'm not giving into the false narratives. I gave it a shot and didn't like it. I wouldn't consider myself a Snyder bro, though I love Man of Steel. This Gunn's version just fell flat for me. I was severely disappointed with Superman, had so much hope. I love Man of Steel, but I love the character of Superman more. Glad I went to see it and will buy it when it's out. This is Inca Bud Crane. Okay, I hope he's a real person. He says he has a blue tick mark. It's dead, like your opportunities with Marvel Cinematic Universe. Wow, that's cruel. Yeah, Superman's gonna flop. We all know this. The budget was too big. That was the problem. That's why I needed a big opening weekend. It's kind of the Superman Returns syndrome all over again. Yeah, except Superman Returns was a better film. My boy says, aren't you a Snyder bro too? Looks like Gunn briefed you well on how to earn a job with the slops. You can enjoy a little movie from home soon on VOD. We'll continue to fight for the freedom of Zack's deconstruction of the hero's journey. Restore the Snyderverse. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know why these guys are selling out like that, And the film is not, well, we all know the film's not good. I mean, James Gunn said it was targeted for children. I don't know if you would use that kind of language and the kind of story that was going on. That's for kids. Michael Palmer says it's not going strong though, Rob. And it's not that me and other Snyder fans have our heads in the sand because we're so blinkered and full of hate. It's that Gunn is vastly inferior to Snyder as a filmmaker. And Zack was never able to finish his story, restore the Snyderverse. Yeah. I mean, and I'm not, again, I really couldn't care less if people think that Gunn is a better director than Zack or Zack's a better director. It's not about that. For me, it's about the quality of movie that I can see on the screen. If this Superman movie, if they had got me in the trailers with the Superman movie, I might have gone and seen it. I might have. But nothing in the trailer showed me something of a movie that I wanted to see. Micah Gray says, not the popular opinion. Rob, I respect your position, but I know Gunn's work as a filmmaker and storyteller, and I know what I've seen of Superman as a film, and the combination of those puts me in no mood to rush out and see the film. I am sure I'll see it someday, in whole or in part, but no time soon. That's how I feel. There's nothing in me that wants to go see this movie. Nothing. I'll be honest with you. I'm glad I didn't go see it, actually. I don't want to see it in any form. I don't want to see it in, I don't want to see it in, bootleg or otherwise. I don't care to see it. I really don't. Red Drum 9899 says, nah, they should have restored and concluded the Snyderverse first. But instead, Zaslav, Gunn, and Safran shamed and belittled the fans while it's closed. And not only that, the movie Superman is an attack on DC fans. And so the people who are probably going to see the Superman, they probably aren't DC fans, so they won't feel a how about it. But those of you who came up on DC, I've seen people who hate Zack Snyder. And they genuinely don't like this movie. There are people who've been critical of Zack Snyder's movies. And when they saw this movie, they bought paraphernalia and all kinds of things. They were excited for this movie. And when they saw it, they were like, nah. Okay? So I'm just letting you know, it's not just Snyder Bros. Even though we are a significant population, that if you can get us to invest in your DC films, they will do extraordinarily well. Extraordinarily well. Because we got a significant amount of purchasing power there, sitting down, globally. Fury Alessandro says, and it's my favorite too, but that doesn't mean just because you're a fan, you have to like everything. This movie is watchable, but it's not good at all. Luther's an idiot, and so are the Earth parents. The jokes are terrible. Supergirl drunk? What a load of rubbish. WB doesn't want us as customers, so why should we support them? Especially when they make a product we don't want. Shouldn't the sport of the demographic they've been chasing for the last decade be enough for them to succeed? I agree. Listen, you call us monkeys. You call us toxic. You call us delusional. Okay. Why would you want toxic, delusional monkeys supporting your movie? You've alienated us away from the DC fandom. Now, Rob Liefeld is trying to bring us in, so we can take abuse. We can be abused by a studio, and you're going to make everything all right. Right, Rob? Is that what you're paid to do? Nah, I'll pass. Sorry, Rob. I'm a big fan of your work and I agree with you on a lot of your opinions about the industry, etc. But that was no Superman, Rob. It was a whiny child screaming like a bitch every chance he got, and who got his ass handed to him? Soyper boy. Sorry, I respect you, but I just can't enjoy a movie, especially after WB treated Henry Cavill. If they had ended one storyline properly, then I would have supported the DCU. I guess all of us feel the same way. Rob says you can like whatever you want. There's nothing wrong with that. Just don't tell others what to watch. We are DC fans, not Snyder Bros. Thank you very much, sir. I like how he corrected him on that. I will always have the DCU Superman, the Bruce Timm Superman, Smallville, Reeve, and a couple of animated movies if I feel like watching a Superman movie. I'm not going to support a studio that despises me, thank you, and everyone from the Release the Snyder Cut movement. And I definitely won't support Gunn. Thank you. Because Gunn trashed the Justice League and he chuckled, he laughed when he talked about not bringing back Zack Snyder's characters. So obviously this is a spiteful, wicked, evil guy. So, no, you will not get my money. Creepy old movie geek starts off. He says, I love Superman. It makes me happy to see the Man of Steel on the small screen, the big screen, and all the different interpretations of the character. You might love Superman, my friend. But I can tell you as a fact that what you saw on the screen was not Superman. And why I say this as a fact. Superman, according to Richard Donner, has to be treated with respect and has to be believable. You have to believe that it's Superman you're seeing on the screen. The actor who's playing the character has to believe that he's Superman. And I can tell you for a fact, David Cornsweet, as much as he tried, doesn't feel he's Superman. He doesn't feel he's Superman. He feels like, especially with the script and stuff that James Gunn is giving him, he feels like he's a parody of Superman. Remember, James Gunn is using AI to make his movie, and this is what they did. I gave it one watch, and I'll say it's worth that, but just doesn't appeal too much to me. The campy superhero movie style just feels played out for me, and I just can't really get into it like some people who watched it a handful of times. I prefer the depth of Man of Steel and still like to rewatch it. Elijah says I can't. The way WB's treated Zack Snyder was awful, and then they replaced him with such a vile human being like James Gunn, which he is a vile person. I'm not gonna lie. Danielle Villarreal says, I did, and I could not get past all the plot coincidences, inconsistencies in Superman's durability. Jor-El and Lara changed bothered me so much. Will says, you might get people on board if you don't call them Snyder Bros. Yeah. Why are you jabbing at us like that? Kari the fella says, it's awesome to live in a world where both versions of Supes exist. And so a lot of the Snyder fans say, no, we're not going to watch it. And that's what's been happening. Okay, so Luis Fernando says it's done. Superman finished third full week as first Superman solo film in history to cross $300+ million mark at the U.S. box office. Superman is 2.7 million on number 4 biggest third Thursday in DC history. See below. Legs back to rock solid, just a 42.8% drop from last Thursday. So Luis Fernando, let me go. I was on Rob Liefeld's stuff. Louis Fernando, he said something here. He said Superman is ready to cross the $550 million mark at global box office this weekend after hitting a 225.3 million international kume over 78 markets overseas on Thursday. Allied to its 302.4 kume in the US, the reboot with a 225 production price tag, not including marketing, hits a 527.2 million global kume on Thursday. 550 plus coming on Sunday. This is what they think. They think 600 plus million locked. So they're saying 600 million locked. They think that's going to happen. They're eyeing a 640 to 700 million global run, depending on how Fantastic Four affects its legs. So they're saying that this movie makes 640 to 700 million run. Well, we'll see. You know, it sounds very positive. Let's see if they get there. This is the spin that they have been doing constantly. Warner Brothers, of course, has Louis Fernando in their back pocket. So they're going to push this. Now, you tell me, a movie's making less and less. This movie this week probably made roughly $50 million, right? Through the whole entire week and then through the weekend. So that's why, remember, this movie began at 503 million over the last weekend. And based on what Mr. Louis Fernando is saying, it's going to make 550 million or past 550 million by the end of this weekend. So that means it made 50 million. The next weekend, it's going to make even less, right? It's probably going to make 25 million, right? So if you think about that, the next weekend is going to make even less. It's probably going to make 10 to 12 million. In other words, what I'm trying to say is this movie, they're saying it's going to make 600 million. Well, they'll keep it in cinemas, but it's going to cost them the more they keep it in cinemas. But the point I'm making is to get to 600 million is going to be a challenge for them. It's going to be harder and harder and harder. And I'll show you what I mean. And it doesn't matter what Fantastic Four makes. That's the best case scenario. Let me show you what I mean. Jurassic World Rebirth. Jurassic World Rebirth is only at 727 million. Now, it's been at 700 million since last weekend. It's running out of legs. It's running out of steam. This is the same thing. And Jurassic World Rebirth was big. Superman didn't affect it in any way, shape, or form, more than anything else. My point being, you think Superman is going to make Jurassic World numbers? Jurassic World was supposed to get, by the way, supposed to make $1 billion. It's not going to make it. Fantastic Four, I don't know what it's going to make. Okay? We're going to see. I don't know. I'm not going to see it. So you can forget about me. I'm not really interested in that movie so much. There's other movies coming out in the cinema and stuff. Fantastic Four is probably going to rule the cinema. If Fantastic Four gets overthrown this weekend by something else, we'll see what happens with that. But anyway, the point I'm making is this movie is ground to a halt at 727 million. It is extremely optimistic to think that the Superman movie is going to make $700 million or more. That is extremely optimistic. It's extremely optimistic also to think that this movie would make 600 million. I hear a lot of people saying it's going to make 600 million. So I don't know how that's going to happen. How's that actually going to work? What, we're going to wait 6 weeks, 7 weeks for it to make 600 million, to cross 600 million? It's topping out right now. It's plateauing right now. If it makes 550 million over this weekend, it's going to make less next weekend, which means it make maybe five. Let's be hugely optimistic here. It will make 575 million the next weekend. That would be the 6th weekend, right? And the 7th weekend, it may top out at 580 something million, right? If you think about what I'm saying, every weekend, the best case scenario is it declines by 50% or it declines by 40%, right? Let's go 40%, right? It's still going to top out. It's topped out. Now it's just you're gonna eke a little million here, a little million there, but you keep it in the cinemas, it's gonna cost you more. Just to get a gross. Look how long they have a Minecraft movie in the cinemas. That movie's run its course. It's not gonna make more than 955 million. It's done. They still have it in the cinemas. You need to pull that movie from the cinemas. Pull it. Save yourself some money. So, yeah. So if this movie's made this kind of money, Superman's not going to make that money. It's not going to make this. I don't care how much money they pump into the cinemas. It's not making that money. And this had a tremendous, this is the kind of numbers internationally that we wanted Superman to make. 420 million. Right? Superman's not going to make that. So they have control over the domestic market and they're pumping money into it's not just people going to see this film. It's they pushing money into the film. The studio's pushing. So the studio is lying to everybody to make things optically look a certain way. Oh, they're working hard to get that stuff. That's why they're firing people left, right, and center in advertising and stuff, because they don't have the money to push into these things. They need that money. That's what's going on. People think, Americans really loving this movie. No, it's lukewarm. They're like, yeah, it's average. It's all right. That's what the feeling you're getting. Right. So I thought I would share that with you guys. I'm going to catch you guys later. I am what you need. I'm sorry. I am not what you need. I am Christ and disciple. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Absolutely, that guy. It's just Nick. He's a Snyder fan. So what kind of adult male prefers cartoon, camp, peacemaker shenanigans to that dark side war? I mean, dude, here's the other funny part about it. Marvel is saying that they're not going to do another Deadpool movie anytime soon. So the movie that gave them a whole bunch of money that, everybody went and saw, that's a fantastic movie, did really great. They don't know when they're going to do another one. You have to ask yourself, what is wrong with these fucking studios? It's not just DC, it's Marvel's doing the same thing. The MCU is doing the same thing. They make a ton of money off of a movie. The fans get what they want. And then at the end of that, they're talking about not continuing it. You wonder, what kind of mental process are these executives thinking? Why are they constantly trying to give the fans what they don't ask for when they have asked for X, Y, and Z? Why would you not satisfy your fan base? Why would you not? The audience says, yeah, give me more of that. Common sense tells us, if the audience says, give me more of that, you give them more of that. That's just normal business sense, right? The audience says, hey, man, give me Zack Snyder's Justice League 2. And put the first one in the cinema, right? Let's see that on the big screen. Warner Brothers gets this brilliant idea. No, there'll be no future of this. No, we're not giving you the air cut. No, we're not doing that anymore. We're going in this direction. This is the way to go. What studio, what kind of mindset would you have where you think your plans for some reason is better than the proven successes? Why would you reinvent the fucking wheel? Somebody help me understand this, because this is making no fucking sense. Power crazy, power hungry people who feel that the audience, because they like something that they're trying to get rid of, they don't have the right to get more of that. They poured close to $1 billion into this fucking Superman movie. Close to $1 billion. They poured a lot of money into seeing this movie be successful. And what has happened? It hasn't even reached the kind of success it's supposed to reach. That's why they're firing people in the company. That's why they're selling off stuff. They don't have the money to sustain this. That's the deeper problem. They want to villainize us as Snyder fans. We are the ones who are telling the truth for the most part. We are the ones leading the charge against this multi-billion dollar corporation because we understand that the audience wants a certain kind of movie. They're tired of the same bullshit, cookie cutter, generic rubbish that Marvel has to offer. And the moment these people get replaced with administration that understands that, we're going to go places. And you're going to make serious money. But right now, we've got arrogant pricks. We've got assholes in Warner Brothers. I have no faith in them. Their direction is stupid. The only thing they've landed this year that was really good was the Minecraft movie. I didn't care for the Minecraft movie. That's not my thing. Last, I think the year or the year before, they had the Barbie thing. Again, I didn't care much for Barbie. I couldn't give a fuck. Right? But you would think people like this would listen to the people who are asking them to do X, Y, and Z. You would think common sense would tell you, all right, they're going to give the people what they want. But just like our governments, just like the elite, they very rarely do unless you pressure them. And that's what we're doing. We're pressuring this company. Excuse me for eating for a second here. Warner Brothers Discovery stock, 12.87. Once upon a time, the stock used to be around $25, $30. Now it sits at almost nothing. They didn't have a they didn't have a budget, they say, to do Zack Snyder Justice League. But they had a budget to do Gunn's movie. Cost way more than Zack Snyder's Justice League to make. You ask yourself, why? Shout out to Greg Silverman. I wish he was one of the executives in production again for DC. But he's not there anymore. And DC suffering. You know? So in 17 days, Man of Steel gross $633.8 million. Superman, $502.7 million. Okay? I said enough for today. But to this brother, Syndicate Video Media, just want to let him know, brother, inflation is a thing. It's a real thing. It's not a cop out. I hope you guys have a blessed rest of your day. This afternoon is bright and sunny. You guys have a good one, okay? Peace.